Let's talk about Hawthorn. There was a sugar hit at the start of the year, as you get with a new coach, and then it's come back to earth a little bit, and Sam Mitchell was feeling life as a coach late in the game. A little bit of a mini trend on this, Kane, too, with late fade-outs.
Yeah, and I'm interested in their midfield, Hutchie, because they tried to trade away Mitchell and O'Meara and put in a bit of a separate category Wingard in that. I wonder what they are worth now, because they're essentially worthless, and this is what Essendon did to them.
Worthless.
Well, they are. What would you get for
Tom Mitchell?
on
there'll be
the
a market
open
for Tom Mitchell.
I'm not sure. There wasn't last year, and there won't be again this year, because he touched the footy 14 times, and this happened. With the speed, they were able to expose Hawthorn's midfield late, and look, plodding along. Now, this isn't his strength in the open play, I understand that, but it was very much on display late in that game, and they were overrun with the Bombers' power and their speed away from that. So I'm not sure. There's their form line, there's their stats, and that's their drop-off year on year. So if you couldn't trade them last year, you're certainly not going to be able to trade them for much at the end of this year. They're contracted until the end of 2023, as you're seeing there. So it's a real issue for Sam Mitchell and how he manages a midfield that looks very, very same with the personnel they've got.
I think the only taker was Luke Bruce going to the Giants, and that deal fell through.
It was a late offer, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like with time, there's a market. Maybe not
a pick in the 40s,
not a first round.
Perhaps,
maybe.
Well,
I just wanted to discuss, Liam Shields has been moved. He's been a great player for Hawthorn and still could be. I think he could be really serviceable. But the decision Sam Mitchell's got, so these guys, you've got to play them. I think Josh Ward, early pick, and Kazitsky, Granger, Barras. But then you've got to be careful that you don't get belted I think they're in for a lot of pain for the rest of this season now. I think they'll struggle to win too many more games. So it's that balancing act between being good enough with playing some mature bodies versus playing kids. I think you've got to get that balance right, otherwise it becomes a long, long year, Hutch.
And they're giving minutes, like Newcomb's getting time.
Yeah, Newcomb's become a star now, but they've just got to balance up the experience and youth.
The Bombers, they looked... I heard you on the Sunday Footy Show yesterday saying you thought they'd been overcoached. And it resonated with me because they played with freedom late in that game. It was almost as if the illness leading in gave them a free hit.
And I just thought some of this, Hutchie, just the pressure and intent was there. So the emotion from the players, you saw it after the game. They steamrolled them. Some of Draper's efforts, they were bang, crash. We haven't seen this, and I think that comes off the back of being able to play with flair and instinct. I think you get that off that.
He's watchable, Draper, when he's on.
Oh, yeah. So now the big thing, Caro, was that a one-week hit? Or can that be the start of something? I'm not sure yet.
Well, interestingly, we know now that the coach Ben Rutten and his footy boss Josh Marnie were grilled by the board last week. Paul Brasher spoke before the game, backed the coach, said there won't be a review, certainly not in the short term. But what was interesting was that some of the things they were grilled about specifically were high performance and conditioning, Matthew, and also list management. So there were quite a few areas. What I have gleaned just from talking to people in the last few days, they seem to believe in the coach. The coach fully has the backing of the board and the administration at the moment, and I think Josh Marnie is in the same boat there. But I think that they're all admitting that there's been some other standards drop, and they need to be addressed.
That's where you've got to be careful as a club. I think the blame game can start. Is it fitness? Is it skill level? Is it coaching? And I think they've been pretty aligned, though, through this period, which is
I think coaches can overwork themselves in their own mind too, and maybe things were simplified on the weekend. Who knows?
And just very quickly on the overcoaching, do you think that some of the young coaches come in who are just so structure-led that they don't have any... They can't bring their instruments?
I think so. Actually, everyone gets drafted because they're such a fantastic footballer, and it's amazing how many guys lose the enjoyment and their flair because they're overcoached at AFL level.